I think that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Wow.
I did not mean that pun.
It all goes beginning of the alphas.
Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast. We talk all things from comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today we are bringing a special Valentine's Day episode, talking about some of our favorite couples from comic books and some last-minute Valentine's Day gift ideas for your nerdy significant other. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
I'm Lance O'Neill.
Oh, Valentine's Day is this Friday, and I hope you guys are all ready.
I'm so prepared. Maybe no, I don't know. Maybe not really.
We record this in advance. Whether you celebrate or not, you can always get yourself something. But
hey, love yourself. Number one commandment, right?
What? Have you ever had a Valentine's Day and you just were like, oh, well, I'm by myself. I'm just going to buy myself something for Valentine's Day?
I at least went on February 15th and got some clearance chocolate.
Okay, but on Valentine's Day, you didn't make yourself a nice dinner under candlelight and bought yourself chocolates, right?
No, I don't. No, I guess not.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure because that was a weird comment.
But it's because there's some cool Valentine's Day specific products that have come out. Like they have the couple, without getting too far ahead of it, like the shirts. There's merchandise, and you don't have to have a significant other to enjoy.
Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a Hallmark thing. So we were going to kick this off. Oh, before we get into this, we just want to take a second to thank you all for listening and make us part of your weekly routine, and feel free to engage us too on social media with some different ideas on what you like, what you want to hear more of, or something different that we can all talk about. We want you to be part of this conversation as much as we all are a part of it. Before we delve into that, what's going on in pop culture today? Da-da-da-da.
But this is probably one of the MCU movies I'm most excited for. So I mean, I got to trust Marvel. People can speculate all day long on what exactly that means. But at the end of the day, as long as we get a good film, it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Marvel's done this before, so it's not really. I think it's not really a big deal. If there's creative differences, I'd rather Marvel just kick them out and do it with whoever they think is right. And it is what it is. That I think they really can't mess up this film, and I think that was probably the biggest reason for this is probably because this is going to I think this movie is really going to set up a lot for the upcoming movies. So I think that they were probably being a little extra picky, or really wanted this to go a certain way, and if it wasn't going to go how exactly how they wanted it, I think that's just what ended up breaking the camel's back. I guess.
I mean, as a director in these pictures, I mean, obviously Marvel has kind of a roadmap going forward, and if you're making a certain creative decision that is going to derail where the train is going, if you will, I can see how that could be an issue. And there's a good chance that they're learning from, we'll call it mistakes.
Yes, we still do not have a name, and we've been doing this for weeks. The main thing that caught my attention is Owen Wilson has been allegedly cast in the Loki series.
Nice. Who's he going to be?
Wow.
Wow, indeed. It doesn't say. It's a mystery role. If that's what they're doing, I mean, Owen Wilson is such a recognizable actor. I mean, to me, he's going to either be a SHIELD agent, or from what we saw, and we talked about this last week, probably just be an agent of, what is it? Time.
The Time Variance Authority.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think it's going to be.
That'd be cool. He's the agent of Time Variance Authority. I'd be real good for that.
Because they're not saying. So, that's probably what's going to be. In the video game world, Overwatch is coming out with some huge updates. The main one being they're doing, it's called an experimental card.
Yes.
Which will allow them to rebalance the game, and because the meta is ever changing, and we've got actually now the day that this podcast came out, Overwatch League just started up again last weekend, I think, from the time that we're releasing this, because it's a couple of days from the time we're recording this. How's that for the time variance committee being confusing?
They're going to figure us out.
And the experimental, the card thing is going to be on all platforms.
Yes, that's the huge thing, because before they only had the extra server on the PC. So now it gets the console players a little love on trying out some of these new patches. And on the Season 21 competitive, we're going to be introducing character pools, which I think is a great idea, because, you rebalance these characters and people find, what works. Like, I'm going to be Symmetra, we're going to be Mercy. But having a character pool, this is kind of similar to what they do in esports like Smite, where what was it? It's like the opposite of a draft.
Well, no, they just ban
characters.
a character before a match starts. So they say, okay, I'm on this map. I know that this character is really OP on this map, so the other team can't use this character on this map.
Or they know that the other team is really good at that character. Like, we can't let them be that character.
It's almost like retiring characters because they've accomplished so many different things. It's too powerful the character.
It helps keep it fresh.
They do that in hero clicks and in card games too.
Exactly.
As well. It's like that. Okay, you can't use this character anymore because we've evolved into the next era of characters. Yep. This character is now on the shelf. It's no longer relevant in today's games.
Because some of the tournaments in the hero clicks, like some of them, there are certain ones that are banned, and it's just like, well, when you even look at it, and you're like, when you guys made this hero click, what were you even thinking? Because it's like clearly, like you just read it and you're like, yeah, that's ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah, I mean, I think. But those hero clicks are fun, sometimes because you can do
the great
other
free
little
play
scenario.
clicks.
Yeah, because you can play games hero clicks over and over again. They're like, okay, you be the Living Tribunal in the Infinity Gauntlet, and then I'll fight you with all the X-Men. Like you do fun little things like that. And like as comic book fans, you like to have a little fun with some of the stories that you know and love. And one more thing, Lance is gesturing to me. There are rumors going around that Emily Blunt has met with Marvel Studios.
Wow.
So what do you think that means?
Refresh me on Emily Blunt. To be blunt, I'm not remembering who she is
Emily
now.
Blunt was the secretary in The Devil Wears Prada, and she is John Krasinski's wife, who was also his wife in the movie The Silent Place, The Whisper, the horror movie.
Well, first thing that comes to mind is Enchantress.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now who it is. You guys ready?
Cool.
You look at any of the modern Marvel comics.
Okay.
They draw Mr. Fantastic like John Krasinski with a beard. Who is Emily Blunt's husband?
Sue
John
Storm.
Krasinski.
Yes.
So maybe if she's going to be Sue Storm, maybe they're pushing this real life couple to be Reed Richards and Sue Storm, because there's been a huge online push for John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic. So maybe this is where it's coming from. And we know Marvel Studios has talked to Emily Blunt in the past because she was the front runner for Black Widow when they were first doing the casting for Iron Man 2.
So that would be an unprecedented thing in movies in the Marvel universe. Is like have like a real life husband-wife team play the role for the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it'd be a good dynamic. I think it'd be interesting. I have no problem with it.
I think that would get them in there, because they keep doing movies together, and I think they won an Oscar for writing that thing together. They wrote that movie together, The Silent Place, and they started it together, and they were a husband and wife couple, and they're having family time while being together.
And I don't mean this in. I don't want to sound negative or anything, but just the fact, the reality is Hollywood couples don't last. So, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad, but it would just be terrible that, like, if they start doing this and they do get casted and, Marvel's looking for 10 years down the road, they're not looking for like the next movie. They're looking for 10 years. I would hate for them to cast them and then something happens between their relationship. And then now you have like this awkward Fantastic Four
chemistry
movie where you have to now disband the Fantastic Four.
That's a good point. And yeah, you definitely can't discredit that. Yes. But Valentine's Day is this Friday. So we thought we would take a moment to talk about just a couple of our favorite couples, or even just one, within comic books. Because we all read comic books, and, love stories are just a part of
comic
storytelling. Just all storytelling,
In
period.
general.
Not even just a comic book story. But I think, Lance, I'll let you, I think I know what you're going to say as what one of your favorite couples is.
Well, my favorite couple is SpiderMan and Black Cat. and I don't care what anyone says, it's a way better dynamic duo couple, I think. And they're just like, it's like their powers are like similar kind of a thing. And they have that good like banter that they've always had, whether it was through like video games or you saw it in comic books or TV series that they had. They're like that perfect couple. And she's like, oh, I'll bring out, the bad side kind of a thing, but they're still like good for each other, like they kind of bring that, they have a good dynamic, I guess is what I'm getting at, where Mary Jane's just like, oh yeah, it's just Mary Jane. I don't know. It's just kind of boring. I don't know.
The one thing I like about that choice too is like that Spider-Man and Black Cat's relationship has matured over the years more than I would say even Spider-Man and Mary Jane's, because when Black Cat first fell in love with Spider-Man, she had no care for Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. And if you follow the era as it goes, now Black Cat being back in modern comics in her own series, and just Felicia Hardy's now got like a respect for Peter Parker. It's no longer we have our masks on sexual tension relationship she's just attracted to Spider-Man.
Which is, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, for sure. But it's like that back when I've started, because I think that was one of my top 3 easily on that is that Spider-Man Black Cat, because when I started reading Spider-Man, he was in the black suit. And Black Cat was his girlfriend at that time. Mary Jane wasn't even in the picture. And Peter Parker was kind of frustrated because he was debating like, gosh, dude, can I keep this relationship going? Because she doesn't like both sides of me. She wants no part of Peter Parker. It would be funny watching the thing too. Like he'd take off his costume or his mask and she goes, put it back on. I don't want to look at that. It's like that. It's like it almost repulsed her like to see Peter Parker because she wanted nothing to do with him.
And he was like, I love you. And then she's like, I love you too, Spider-Man.
Yes.
Right? That's like pretty much verbatim what it said, I
Absolutely.
think.
She wanted no part of Peter Parker.
Exactly. I don't know if that speaks something to my relationships, but I don't know.
But Spider-Man, like he was totally eating it up because he felt like that his alternate ego had its own life. You know, it's almost like that was the thing that kind of became really puzzling when Mary Jane came back in the picture. Yeah. And then for the first time, he had to kind of choose hardcore. It's like that, well, the thing that kind of finally pushed him apart back in the 80s is she wanted powers because she felt like she was a liability to Spider-Man. And that's when she went to the Kingpin to get powers when he was on the Secret Wars universe. And he comes back and she has to explain like that. Yeah, I've got these new powers. Where'd you get them? It's like, I really can't tell you. And she finally, they were fighting the Kingpin and it kind of got exposed. Like, oh, you didn't even tell him where you got your powers from. And that's what finally split them up was like Peter Parker couldn't stand the fact that she got her abilities from the Kingpin.
Who cares?
I know. And it was just, but that's the Peter Parker side of things.
With great power comes great responsibility, I thought. So it doesn't matter where it came from. Yours came from a spider.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah, seriously. Right?
That seems like a
Peter wouldn't like that. You radioactive doing radioactive experiments on spiders.
So what are your favorite?
I said too, like Lance that's one of my top 2 or 3 right there. It's like Spider-Man Black Cat.
Yeah.
But it's my top one for the longest period of time. It sounds weird, but it's Heather and James McDonald Hudson.
Okay. And for those of those people who don't know who that is.
Yeah, those were the leaders of Alpha Flight. Pretty much kind of co-leaders. I mean, they had pretty much the perfect relationship with each other's like that. One's thinking always in the best interest of the other, no matter what. And I really saw that inside of reading the comics with that. Like James McDonald Hudson, Wolverine was supposed to be the original leader of Alpha Flight. In fact, on James and Heather's honeymoon, they were out walking in the forest hunting for their food because Canadians, they do whatever they need to get food. Yeah. and while they're out hunting, like something charges out of the bushes and comes at Heather and James Hudson shoots at it.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be Wolverine. And so that was kind of like the retrofitting of Wolverine's origin, connecting him to Alpha Flight when in Giant Size X #1, Professor X went into Department H to recruit a hero to help get his X-Men. And he pretty much, Wolverine told the government, it's like, government told me you can't leave your work for us. And he goes, try to stop me. And that's kind of started the rivalry between Alpha Flight and the X-Men. But that goes back to Heather and James Hudson's relationship honeymoon.
Yeah.
And just that whole unity of like almost became for a while kind of like the foster parents for Wolverine. And so they're even like a good husband, wife, parent team too, as well.
Yeah,
over one of the most important characters in Marvel's history.
And that shows you how awesome the X-Men animated series was, because they did exactly that.
Yes,
I
they touched on that.
I haven't read the Alpha Flight comics, but I was picturing those episodes from the anime series. Like they did such a good job, adapting these things.
And like that, Heather was the truth, like the wife of James McDonald Hudson. Eventually, the Canadian government decommissioned Alpha Flight because they couldn't afford it anymore.
Yeah.
And so James and Heather were kind of just more or less, she was more, okay, this information needs to be dealt with. And then James would go out and as Guardian or Vindicator or Weapon Alpha, whichever one of the three names you want to call him during his career, like that, at that point, Vindicator going and trying to still help out Canada, even though he wasn't being commissioned like every superhero would, protect their country under all costs.
Yep.
And, there was a point when they were fighting this thing called Tundra, Guardian himself, and Heather's like, you just can't do this on her own. And so she's the one that actually formed Alpha Flight to help out her husband and make sure that love for her husband, like that, whether he thinks he needs it or not, I need to help.
Yep.
And so she's always been, like, in my opinion, the co-leader of Alpha Flight through the majority of the history. Even after her husband died in Alpha Flight number 12, she walked in the room as he died, which was, to me, one of the most heartbreaking moments I think I've ever seen in comic history. I'm like 12, 13 years old reading this. I'm going, holy crap. Actually, less than that. I think it was 10 or 11. It was 1984, 85 when I first read that.
Yeah.
And I'm going, did that just happen? Like, she's first of all trying to get to her husband to help save him. And then he's fighting with the rest of Alpha Flight against what was Omega Flight. And he helps defeat the villain, but it blew up around his costume. And he's got like an armor that's not quite Iron Man-esque, but it's more computer chip oriented than armor. And so he was kind of like a hybrid between Captain America and Iron Man, in my opinion. And he's like blown to pieces pretty much. And his thing that's more or less the overheating power pack, he's trying to disable it. There's a 10-second countdown on this last couple of pages. And then on the last page, his wife opens a door and he's in that little shaft and boom, he disintegrates right in front of her. It was one of the most heartbreaking moments in, I think, a relationship I think I've ever seen. And then she was distraught. Wolverine came back in the picture into Alpha Flight for a couple of issues, and she decides, like, I need to keep his memory alive. And she decided to become the new leader of Alpha Flight. And so it was kind of like a relationship that just kept on going. Like, she kept James McDonald Hudson spirit alive because that's what he would have wanted. And they're just like, always, to me, that was one of the most perfect teams I've ever seen in comic storytelling.
That's pretty cool. One of my choices, I do like for the kind of Shakespearean-esque story behind it, and that is Death and Deadpool.
Oh, good chance.
So, Thanos, and Death, are the more conventional couple, and, but in Deadpool's origins, Death played a very significant role in the original storytelling within Deadpool Death Annual 98. But she became fascinated with him, as he's being experimented in the hospice of Weapon X, which is kind of, all connected to this Department H stuff.
Yes.
And he's becoming more and more deformed as they're trying to splice in Wolverine's healing factor. But the cancer got aggressive, and like he looks, really bad. He looks like hamburger meat. I mean, you all know what Deadpool looks like. But she started appearing to him, and because he was, as she puts it, like primed to, pierce the dark veil, but the circumstances won't allow him to die. So that's why he's trying to have Dr. Kilbrew and Francis kill him, within the hospice, because no one's allowed to die in the hospice unless Kilbrew says it. But, without getting too deep into it, Francis kills Worm. And I think the Deadpool movie kind of did this a little bit. And just his lust for revenge, kickstarted the healing factor within him because he wanted to get the revenge on Francis. And now he's been fated to live forever as this ugly, ugly little thing. And now he cannot be with Death forever because he was not able to die because she wanted him to die and be together. And like, sure, maybe that's demented, but I mean, it's kind of beautiful in its own way.
The fun part about that answer too is I love it's a love triangle with Thanos in there too as well.
And I think that's why Death is one of my favorite characters because of her relationship with Deadpool and relationship with Thanos. And I love both of those characters.
Yes.
Like Death is that, connection almost. Like,
life and death.
Yeah. No, it's, I like, Shakespeare and stuff. So it was just a nice, deeper kind of story. And I wish they dealt with death in the Deadpool origins, and I wish they dealt with it in Infinity War, but whatever. You have another couple?
Man, dude. Sue and Reed Richards. I always said too, is like, me and my wife run the comic shop together, and we've been at it since day one in 2005. And she is kind of like, we're kind of like the pillar to keep me strong, and I try my best to keep her strong too. As I don't know if she can attest the same thing of how strong she keeps me compared to me, how strong I keep her. But I don't know. I'm kind of trying to stay on the modest side a little bit there too, as well. But she is like a pillar to keep us going. Like Reed Richards, the brilliant scientist, but Sue Storm is his rock. Do you know what I mean? Every time he has any kind of doubt, anything he wants to accomplish, Sue's there to back him up.
Aww.
And Sue is like the ultimate defender and patriot for anything Reed deals with, it seems like. You know, and then like their family, dude, Franklin and Valeria, dude, talk about creating the next generation of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe.
Star-Lord is so powerful.
Man, dude, like Valeria is like a genius, and Franklin's got the power to create his own realities. And, like the whole thing too, this whole FF X-Men crossover that's coming up is pretty much Mr. Sinister is going to play a major role afterwards on that, because it sounds like Franklin's going to end up joining the X-Men.
Interesting.
And there was a little tease in Incoming where he's always been the linchpin of how to protect the Marvel Universe. And that came out of the first family, which Stan Lee created in the Fantastic Four. So it's kind of interesting, like symbolically, he is the thing that keeps the Marvel Universe safe in the long term of things.
That's really interesting.
Came out of that relationship.
Kind of jumping off what you're saying with my wife's favorite character is Jean Grey, Phoenix. And, as far as couples go, she married Scott Summers, Cyclops, and like, to me, like, that's so lame. Like, Cyclops is so overrated, and he does not deserve Jean Grey. Like, who Jean should be with is Wolverine.
Yes.
Wolverine should be with Jean Grey Phoenix. And you want to talk about, like you're comparing Spider-Man to Black Cat and the way their powers and stuff. Like, Jean Grey is, like, reborn as the Phoenix over and over again, and Wolverine, like, pretty much lives forever. And then you have, like, Scott, and he's got laser eyes. Okay. Like, and that's who you're hitching your wagon to. Although now in House of X, she has the best of both worlds. So, I'm sorry. I don't know why I slurred there. She has the best of both worlds now. So I don't even know what to say about that.
So is that your favorite couple then?
What?
The trio.
No.
Isn't it kind of ironic though? I see the similarities between Peter Parker and Scott Summers. Like the Rock for Scott is Jean, but Emma Frost is his kind of side tail. I hate saying that on the side there.
Because she's like the
and
darker
Black Cat
one.
is,
Totally.
is kind of like that. There's that little Peter Parker and Scott Summers, I think, have more in common than a lot of people give them credit for.
Totally.
Yeah, and also for the record, I like Black Cat more than I like Spider-Man.
So it's more about Black Cat.
For me, it's more about I like Black Cat, and then like, okay, her relationship with Spider-Man, I enjoy the relationship. It's not that I like Spider-Man and I like Black Cat more than Mary Jane.
It's just how much you like Black Cat.
Isn't it kind of ironic that the Batman Catwoman thing is kind of like that Spider-Man Black Cat thing, but Batman chose the Catwoman rather than, another relationship he's had that was more simple over all of the years?
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, yes, absolutely. You're 100% right.
And is that a good relationship, you guys think? Batman and Catwoman, like supervillain and superhero? Kind of it is like Black Cat and Spider-Man, almost to a T.
Kind of, because, I guess it's similar because she was she's like kind of a bad, like she's been a bad guy, but I feel like it's never been like that serious almost. You know what I mean?
So she'd have necessity and she became hooked on the thrill.
Right. It's not like, it's just like almost like a bad addiction rather than like, oh, I'm an evil
and Black Cat was family spread down. Her dad was the Black Fox, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting to see like that in
it's kind of like what you grew up with.
Yeah, it's heritage for her.
Right.
I mean, everybody is flawed, and he dresses up in a bat suit and fights crime because he's messed up from his parents dying. I mean, whatever. Like, man, it's great. Like, I'd rather see him with someone like Catwoman than I can't even name you her regular people. Like, even even Talia al Ghul. I mean,
Yes.
just like Catwoman is the best choice.
On the
I
opposite
think.
side, who are some of the worst relationships in comics? The second one just came to my mind. I
What's
think is
that?
like Bruce Banner and Betty Ross.
Yeah,
It
totally.
sounds weird because she seems so conditional of like, oh, I can't deal with Bruce under these schizophrenic Hulk moments that he goes through. But she tries to stick to him and she's loyal to him. But it's just, you got the overbearing father that wants nothing to do with the son-in-law. And it's one of the most catastrophic relationships in comics, in my opinion.
I'll tell you what the worst relationship, overrated relationship in all of comic book history is. And some of you guys are going to try to argue with me listening. It's Joker and Harley Quinn.
Oh, yes. That is super.
It's abusive.
Yes, that
it
is a
should
horrible
not be
relationship.
glorified. Yes, like it's part of the story and like it's storytelling. It's
chaos
but it's
crazy.
the worst.
Yes.
Right now, we're going to talk about, gifts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right now in Box Lunch, they have couple shirts and there's
Mm-hmm.
a Han and Leia one, which I argue is not as terrible but they got divorced, so it is kind of bad. But there's a Joker and Harley Quinn couple shirts.
yeah.
And like is that what that's what you're trying to aspire your relationship to be?
yeah, it shouldn't
Like
be.
think about what these characters represent here. Like,
Yes.
I like Harley Quinn and Joker's okay, but like you're glorifying that and like it's I don't know.
It's like the good
too
as
much.
individuals, but you don't like to see them together.
But you brought up another one of the worst couples earlier.
Oh,
Yeah, Colossus and Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just, I think it's more of like how it starts, right? It's not even necessarily like maybe later down the road how it ends up. It's just like the origin of it is just a little like, man, this is kind of awkward. How old was she when they met?
Like 14.
14,
Yes.
right? And he was like 21 or something. There's just, I don't know. You can't really, I don't know if you should glorify that at all.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're just going to leave that at that. But those are definitely
How about middle of
some
the road
worst.
ones like Rogue and Gambit?
I think that's one of the top.
Relationships, you think?
I mean, Gambit, like everyone loves Gambit. Women love Gambit. Men love Gambit. They want to be Gambit. And I think the same thing applies to Rogue. I mean, like that's like the ultimate couple. I don't know. In my opinion, like that's one of the best X-Men couples.
I think a middle of the road is like Spider-Man and Mary Jane.
And one of the most like obscure couples is Dazzler and Longshot.
Okay, I'm going to hate myself for saying this. One of the most obscure couples I think is Juggernaut and She-Hulk.
Oh wow, yes. There we go.
So
dude.
that I don't know how long that lasted, and I'm not even going to talk about the panels that I'm specifically referring to because they are inappropriate.
Yes. What about Superman and Wonder Woman in the DC New 52?
Yes, I mean that's better than Lois Lane. The same thing with like Black Cat and stuff.
Yeah, way better. It's like
Yes.
people with similar powers. I know it's not all about powers, but they, there's like
Their
it's
chemistry there.
relatable, right? There's chemistry. They fight with each other. Like there's more to it than just like, oh, you're human and I'm a super crazy strong person.
And what was it? It was one of the Alex Ross comics where they have the older Superman and gosh, what is you know what I'm
Kingdom
talking
Come.
about? Thank you. I couldn't think of it. In Kingdom Come, like they had that moment right before, and I think she like kissed him on the cheek, and I mean to me like
It's the ultimate respect between each other, it seems like, in that universe.
like this is gonna be a weird comparison here, but like I felt like their relationship has been similar to like Jerry Seinfeld and Elaine. That all of a sudden there was a relationship, but then they were still friends. I don't know. I know that's weird. Maybe it's because Seinfeld likes Superman. And
That's exactly what it is.
I know that was probably a really weird comparison. Like, you're really reaching there, Blade. But Valentine's Day is this Friday, so maybe your last minute shopping here. But we're only going to touch on a couple of things, so we're going to try to keep this episode short. Probably more so we can all have dinner here in a few minutes. But we're going to use it under the pretenses of what?
I just thought of another couple that I absolutely hate.
What?
Captain Marvel and War Machine.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
It's just an awkward. It seems forced. I just don't like it.
Well, as an Iron Man fan, what do you think about Tony Stark and Pepper Potts?
I don't really. It's.
Yeah, because it's weird.
I
Because
feel like it's just me.
it seemed like it never really was too much of a thing until the movies. So I feel like that the Bethany Macabre, what's Bethany McCabe? She is also
Madam Mask.
Yeah, Madam Mask. That seemed like to be like a much more important Tony Stark relationship back in the 80s and 90s that they kind of haven't touched on at all.
Yeah,
in
and
the movies.
the Ultimate Universe had him with like, I mean, it was like a false flag thing with like Black Widow, and I almost would have rather have seen that.
Almost destructive. That's right.
Yeah.
Janet Pym and Hank Pym. That was a very destructive relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Both
really,
universes, Ultimate and the Marvel Universe.
I'm glad they stayed away from that.
Yeah,
Yes, me too.
That's too much. But yeah, I touched on it before. There are lots of products specifically even put out for Valentine's Day. Off the top of my head, Hot Topic and Box Lunch have all these couple shirts. Hot Topic and this is a few years ago. You ever see my Deadpool and Death shirt?
Yes.
That was a Valentine's Day shirt.
No way. That's
like how cool is that? But there's all these couple shirts, at Box Lunch right now that are pop culture related, and Funko once again is doing couples Funko Pops.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yep. So there's even like little mini 2-packs. So I think this year they have some of like the Disney princesses and their princes, like little things like that. And another good thing, like depending where you're at, like maybe you want to get a trip to a convention.
Yes, that would be outstanding.
If you're in the Phoenix area, you got Phoenix Fan Fusion. In March, there's Emerald City Comic Con. I think you guys all missed out on San Diego, right? Those tickets already went on sale, right? But WonderCon tickets are usually pretty attainable.
Yes, they just went on sale last week. WonderCon, or 2 weeks ago, as this is being listened to. Like, WonderCon's a great trip. I call WonderCon one of my favorite experiences of the year when it comes to Comic-Con going. Because if you like San Diego Comic-Con, I call it San Diego Comic-Con Light. You can get into it, and it's comic book based still.
Yep.
I mean, Hollywood makes the trip to San Diego, which is ironic because it's in Anaheim when it's WonderCon every year. I think it's too much of a, like, we're not going anywhere. So
Yep.
San Diego's still a little bit of a trip for all the stars and all the production companies to go take a little mini vacation at San Diego Comic-Con, but at the same time be marketing everything that they're doing and coming up with.
Yep.
But WonderCon it's easy to get to. It's just straight up the I-10, over into Anaheim there. And what I love
Easy
about
to get you from Phoenix.
yes, from Phoenix, that's true. But with WonderCon, what I love about WonderCon is usually when you go into a Comic-Con city the week of Comic-Con, everything gets jacked up in price.
Yep.
When you're in Anaheim, Disneyland price fixes everything. And so you're kind of paying a little bit more than what you're paying in your own area, but you're not going to be scaring away the Disneyland people by jacked up prices. So I think Disneyland's got a feel of where these are the prices that things should be in this area. So you can kind of get to WonderCon for less expensive than you can for most cons when
Very
it comes to
interesting.
expense.
That's a really interesting part. I wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah, I found that very fast. I'm going, wow, everything seems much cheaper than going to San Diego or going to Las Vegas Con or going to different things. Like Las Vegas has got a similar thing, I guess. So Las Vegas may be a bad example because Vegas is all about the casinos. It's not about that one con dominating the city. So any convention where whatever's going on there, where the con's not the main event, I think you can save a lot of money going convention hopping.
Yeah, I mean, in Vegas, there's so many places to stay. There's so many places
Yes.
to stay.
They do inflate. They do inflate their hotel prices though when there's bigger events.
Yes,
Really?
when there's
Okay.
bigger events, but
It's like big boxing matches and stuff like that. Or-
and UFC fights, yes, they do skyrocket. But if you're going on a weekend anyway, like you're paying that slightly extra cost anyway, and I don't think there's any comic convention that goes to Vegas that it draws UFC prices. Because like if Conor McGregor is fighting in Vegas, like forget it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
You
it's-
don't go.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They know the money's coming in, all the gambling money on it, all these people wanting to be seen at the fights, and pretty intense. It's like it's Hollywood in Vegas, Hollywood light.
And there's always the comic book option. I know we've mentioned this before. DC's got a lot of the great Black Label stuff. And if you want a statue, we've also mentioned this before. What's it called, Ken? Diamond. The
Diamond Select.
Yeah, Diamond Select statues.
$50. You get the really nice statue. There's all kinds of characters.
Yeah, the detail they've done with Diamond Select over the past couple of years is stepping it up to save you a lot of money, but look awesome. Everybody's been impressed by what these Diamond Select statues have been doing over the past 2 to 3 years now.
Yeah. And I know it's the same exact recommendations that we did, around
Christmas
around
time.
Christmas. But I mean, like they're good value.
They still
and
relate.
It's really hard to stay away. Another good option, if you're going for like a couples thing, Funko also has a lot of these games, these Funko games. There's Batman ones. We're getting a Gretzko
Yes.
soon, as we revealed at the toy show. And there's some new Marvel Legends waves that are really neat. We got a Fantastic Four wave that has a really cool Doctor Doom.
Yes.
You know, like I love Doctor Doom, and it's finally nice to see Fantastic Four, you know, getting some love again, and supposed to having some merchandise.
Yes.
For once.
Yeah, and if you want to do like dinner and a movie, I mean, Comex, that new comic book themed restaurant out at Desert Ridge Marketplace, if you're listening to this locally in Phoenix, or there's probably other similar types of comic themed restaurants in your area. I know in Atlanta, Georgia, they open a sweet comic book themed restaurant. So that's going to become more and more. If you look in your city, that's a large metropolitan city, you're probably going to find something similar that is comic book or pop culture themed right now.
Or just, you know, stay at home and make it a movie night. You know,
Yes.
make your own, you know, comic book themed, you know, romantic evening. Put on your favorite superhero movie.
Deadpool.
But I'm like, that's there you go. They celebrate Valentine's Day, right? You know, celebrate your favorite, you know, Marvel or DC or independent couple.
You know what me and my wife's favorite romantic movie is, which sounds kind of weird?
What's that?
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element's great.
Yes.
Great movie.
Is that a great like romantic night movie?
I love Fifth Element.
Yes.
That's probably one of those movies I've seen at least 100 times.
Yes.
Probably. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I also think that like the best one, like just the best thing for Valentine's Day, I feel like, is sometimes just stay home and like play some games.
Yes.
You know, and especially if you're both into like, you know, some nerdy things. And I know I said this on Christmas, go buy some Legendary. Right?
Yes.
It's a great gift. And then on top of it, they have 4 new expansions. One actually comes out this month, and it's an Asgard expansion, and there's a Eternals expansion coming out. So, you know, just, you know, that's a great thing that, hey, you can constantly, you know, keep it growing and just have a fun night. And it takes hours to play. So, you know, you're going to have plenty of time to, you know, enjoy your night.
Jumping off of that, any of the Lego games are really fun to play together. And there's so many properties. There's Marvel, there's DC, there's Star Wars, there's Lord of the Rings. And I have not played a Lego game that I did not enjoy. They're all fantastic. And, you know, pre-order Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, you know. Nice. Another great video game that's out already that you can buy as a gift is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Yeah.
That's we got a Dragon Ball RPG game finally. You know, that
Yes.
just came out.
Looks really good too. I was pretty impressed. I was like, oh, I want to get this too.
You know what game I started yesterday?
Which one?
Jedi Fallen Order.
Wow. Oh, is that really good? I wanted to check that out too.
I have not been so hooked on a game from just starting it in a very long time.
Wow.
It is really good. I'm hooked. I'm not going to spoil it, but like I'm hooked. I'm just leaving it at that. So like if you're on the fence about getting that for your significant other, highly recommend it. I'm about 4 hours in and I can't wait to continue.
Do you have the disc?
Yeah.
Okay, let me know when you're done with it.
Okay. But yeah, those are just a few suggestions. Regardless, though, you know, the most important thing is just spending time together.
Yes.
You know, because I'm a stay at home on Valentine's Day kind of guy because I hate people and I don't want to be in a crowded restaurant.
Yeah, it's like your guys' time together, not
Yeah.
the whole freaking world around you.
Yeah. But we appreciate you all taking the time to listen and making us part of your routines. You know, tell us what you like, don't like. You know, we're on Facebook, Twitter at Nightcap Chat, and on Instagram at Nightcap_chat. Or on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean. You know, continue to leave those reviews. They open up, you know, lots of opportunities for advertising and sponsorships. You know, through these different platforms. And we appreciate you all taking the time to listen. You can find more about Drawn to Comics. Ken, I'll let you take that.
Yes, just follow us anywhere you can. It's on drawntocomics.com, social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we are located in the brick and mortar location of 5801 West Glendale Avenue in Glendale, Arizona. California, can't find us.
And I'm Lance O'Neill, and you can find me on twitch.tv/Tales of Lance, and come hang out, talk whatever, video games, whatever, pop culture. I'm down for whatever. You want to play some games? Maybe we can play some games depending on what you want to play. I don't know. Just come visit me though.
Yeah, and we got some cool things coming. Look out for some big announcements. Got to cross the T's and dot the I's. Really looking forward to sharing that with you. So, I mean, what is it? Very exciting. But we will catch you all next week. Thank you all for listening.
Have a good night.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.